Good morning and welcome. Thank you for coming to this Media Availability Day. I'm Sarah Copeland-Hanzas, Vermont's Secretary of State. With me is Sean Sheehan, our Director of Elections, and we are here today to share some vital information to folks in advance of our statewide primary, which is happening on August 13th. We want to make sure that we take this moment to remind voters about how to cast their ballot for the primary, to highlight some new resources that our office has put out that you will get some links to at the end of this press availability today, and basically just explain some of the details about election administration in Vermont. Today is also National Poll Worker Recruitment Day, and so we are encouraging Vermonters who are interested in the electoral process, who want to give back to their community and contribute to a functioning democracy, to reach out to their town or city clerk and volunteer to be a poll worker. Clerks all over the state are looking for people to step up and volunteer, and so making sure that you let your clerk know you're interested in and able to do that is the way to start that process. So thank you in advance for jumping in to make our elections work. So the statewide major party primary is just a week and a half away. Voters will choose which candidates they want to represent their parties in the November general election. Up for election is one of our United States Senate seats, our United States House seat, governor, lieutenant governor, treasurer, secretary of state, auditor, attorney general, all state Senate seats and all state representative seats, as well as high bailiffs. So voters should have a voting plan. At this point, we want folks to be thinking about, am I going to go in and vote early in my town clerk's office? Am I going to request a ballot be mailed to my home? If you're going to do that, you should be doing that right away, because with mail delays these days, we want to be sure you receive your ballot in time. If you've already requested an absentee ballot and you have one in your kitchen sitting on the table waiting to be filled out, it might be a good idea to make a plan to drop it back off in person at your clerk's office while they're open, or using a ballot drop box at your clerk's office, again, because of mailing delays. A couple other details about voting in our statewide primary. Unlike the presidential primary back in March, in our statewide primary, you will be given all three ballots, one for the Republican Party, one for the Democratic Party, and one for the Progressive Party. You get to look at all three, and you get to choose which one you want to vote in. You must return all three ballots, okay? So if you're doing that with your mailing envelope, you're mailed, the ballot that you voted in goes in one envelope, and the two that you do not vote in go in the other envelope, and you must sign and return all of those envelopes, all of those ballots. Again, mail can be slow, so please use your clerk's office drop box. If you need to register to vote, please go to our online voter registration page at olvr.vermont.gov. Online voter registration page. You can update your voter registration. You can register for the first time. If you've recently moved, please update your address so that your general election ballot comes to the right location. Your town clerk and city clerk can also help you get registered, and they have their hours posted. There's a great guide to all of the town clerk's offices on our website, and that'll be a part of the resources that we send out later on today. You can, if you are registered now, you can go ahead and vote early in your clerk's office, or as I said before, you can request your ballot be mailed to you. You can go pick up your ballot, take it home with you, fill it out, and turn it back in anytime before or on August 13th. And just be sure that you fill out all of the blanks on your ballot envelopes before you return that. If you would like to see a copy of your sample ballot, right? Many people like to vote on election day. They like the process of going, checking in with the folks who are working at the polls, saying hello to the clerk who's administering those elections. If you want to vote on election day, but you'd like to see what your ballots are going to look like, you can go to your My Voter page and you can see a sample of your ballots. You can see who's running all the way from the governor's race and United States House and Senate races, all the way down through who is on your local ballot for state rep, state senator, and justices of the peace. Your My Voter page is a great resource for you, and we really want voters to start looking at that for resources, because when the general election voter guide comes out towards the end of September, your voter guide for the general election will be available through your My Voter page. We've got some new resources that we've been sharing out through all sorts of different channels. We've shared out this list of resources, and we'll send it to you again with the other links that I have mentioned. They're going out to all municipal officials, to all town clerks. They're going out through Front Porch Forum. So if you're on Front Porch Forum, I hope you've already seen it. But we've got some really great resources to help Vermonters understand elections and also to help answer some commonly asked questions. So we have a great new election security video that was created with a handful of our municipal clerks who know firsthand all of the steps that we take in Vermont to make sure that our elections are secure. That'll be available on our YouTube page, and also you can find a great video on our website of how to register and vote in Vermont elections, and that has been translated into 14 different languages, and so we welcome you to take a look at that resource as well. There's also a page on our website that is sort of the truth about Vermont elections. So there can be a lot of mis and disinformation out there. There can be a lot of similarities and also differences between election law in Vermont versus other states that people may be more familiar with. If you're looking for the true information about how elections work in Vermont, please check out that Truth About Vermont Elections page. And that is it for my set of resources, and I want to welcome Sean Sheehan to come up, and he's going to talk with you about a number of data resources and also the processes for counting on election night. So Sean, take it away.
Thank you. Very great. So thank you. So I know a lot of you are interested in when the results will come. Always the popular question. The polls close at 7 o'clock on August 13th. Depending on the town, they open between 5 and 10 a.m., but they all close at 7 p.m. After the polls close, the town clerks and their teams go through the counting. Some towns do hand counts, others have tabulators, and then they report the results in to us. It'll be the unofficial results that they have that night. The official results will come as part of a canvass, and the following day they'll count write-in votes and they'll certify those results. That following Tuesday, August 20th, we'll have the certification of the official results for statewide races. For local races and legislators, it'll be on Friday. But as far as those unofficial results that come in, they get posted on our website at electionresults.vermont.gov. You can also get there through the Secretary of State's homepage, but the direct link is electionresults, all one word, .vermont.gov. We also have a lot of information on our website about past elections. There's an election archive, and that's election archive, all one word, .vermont.gov. So electionarchive.vermont.gov has a lot of information there as well. We're also we're also letting folks know, we have heard the National Association of Secretaries of State has put the word out about common election scams, election season scams that happen. Some have to do with political donation scams. The second one is fake surveys and polls. And a third is voter registration scams, where somebody will, we've heard of some of those here, where people are getting a phone call or getting an email saying that they need to re-register to vote or need to confirm their registration to vote. Fortunately, I think folks are calling their town clerks. They know that town clerks are the source of trusted information, and the Secretary of State is as well. And we confirm to them that they don't, unless the town clerk says their voter registration is challenged, there's not going to be any outside party that would be contacting them about that. And people can also go to the Secretary of State's website at My Voter page, which is mvp.vermont.gov, and you can see your registration status, the address where you are at that point for yourself. So that's an information. I did bring some copies if anyone wants and more information on those 3 scams, or I can share the PDF information. Beyond that, we also have numbers and data on the absentee ballot requests. To date, there's been more than 22,000 absentee ballots that have been issued, sent to voters, and nearly just over 8,000 have been returned. So over 8,000 people have already voted, which isn't a huge number. I think as we talked about, a lot of people like to get them, maybe wait till we get closer to election day to vote, or to come bring them into the polls to vote. But certainly the absentee voting and has something that's increased, certainly since the pandemic, but even before the pandemic, increased over the previous couple decades. So those are the main sorts of information and data we have on the website, and are happy to help with any questions that come up between now and the 13th or after.
Great. Question?
Yes, so looking at those scams, what might be a more legitimate way of contacting people that someone could expect? You know, if there is a problem with my registration, what would help me differentiate that this is a legitimate thing rather than a scam?
Okay, yeah, so if there's an issue, did you want to?
No, go ahead.
Yeah. So so I think it would be coming from the town clerk and the city clerk if they have an issue with their registration, if they were challenged. And that's the great thing about Vermont community being so small. Everything really, the elections are run at the local level. People know their town clerks and their city clerks can reach out directly. They can come right in. I think, as is often the case with anything, whether you're talking about elections or any scam with government or otherwise, if you get a call that seems a little fishy, or somebody could be masking their phone number, always asking if you can call them back at the published number if you're ever not sure. I think that goes for probably Department of Motor Vehicles or Agency of Human Services, who have been before. So reaching out that way. So calling, if you're not sure, if it is your clerk, you could always offer to call your clerk back or call the Secretary of State.
In the event that a clerk perhaps thought someone had moved out of town, they might have issued a challenge letter, but the law is very clear that we do not do massive adjustments to the voter rolls in the 90 days leading up to an election. And that is in part to make sure that we're not disenfranchising someone, give them time to respond. And so a challenge letter would be something that would come into the mail to the official mailing address that you would have had on file with your town or city clerk. And there is never an instance where someone will come door to door or reach out to you by telephone to talk with you about your voter registration status.
And the other thing important to note too, and Vermont's different than many states as well, that you can register the same day. So you can go right to the polls and register to vote if you're not registered. But also if there's an issue with your registration right at the polls, you can sign an affidavit that you're a resident and take care of things right there as well. So as the Secretary said, it wouldn't be people coming door to door, but it's also not something if somebody's urgently saying you have to respond today and do this. That's not the case in Vermont.
I should say as well, you mentioned poll worker day today. I know at least 2 longtime city clerks have stepped down, and those positions were available in recent years. Can you talk a bit about having safe, secure elections and encouraging newer people to get involved with government as well?
Yeah, We've been working on ways to elevate the role of town or city clerk since I was elected nearly 2 years ago. And part of that is just, as you were saying, when longtime clerks step down, communities are sometimes left scrambling to figure out who's going to step in and take over this role. Town and city clerks are critical to the functioning of local government. They're filing our land records, and they are running our local elections. And it's a great job that is close to home and involves a lot of close contact with your friends and neighbors. It really is a public service position. But our office does a lot, and I'll let Director Sheehan talk a little bit more about it. We do a lot to train and support and give resources to our town and city clerks for a wide range of their duties, but in particular for those new clerks for whom this is their first election. So why don't you talk a little bit about the great training that you had earlier this week?
Absolutely. Yeah, just on Tuesday we had a training for new clerks, an all-day training we went through, and we had about 70 clerks there, which we let them define new. Some were even newer than me. Some were a few weeks in their job, and others that had been there a couple of years, but at this point going through a presidential cycle felt they could use that additional training. And we went through everything from the responsibilities of working together with their town election workers, what to do before the election, day of election, post with the counting. We went over the accessible voting machines so that Vermonters with a disability can vote and do so in an accessible way. There's specific machines that every town clerk has at the voting locations. And then we went through the tabulators and went through our systems as well. We do those trainings, and I think this is probably a good point too for people maybe interested in working and becoming more involved as clerks. Is the support structure doesn't start and end with us. In fact, there's a terrific association, the Vermont Municipal Clerks and Treasurers Association, that we work very closely with. Some of their seasoned pros came to our training on Tuesday, and to be able to share kind of the case studies, the examples of how they dealt with different challenges is a terrific support system for clerks. And of course the Vermont League of Cities and Towns also partners with both us and the association to support those clerks and municipal officials.
What's usually the margin of error, or like the difference between unofficial and official election results? Like how great can the difference be?
So I don't know that there's a typical difference, but there's a very specific reason why we get you the unofficial results as quickly as we can, but then go back and carefully receive results from the clerks. And I can let Director Sheehan talk a little bit about the processes that our team goes through with clerks in the 24 hours after elections.
Yeah, absolutely. And to the question of what the range is, I think it really probably maybe the biggest factor may be how strong of a write-in candidate campaigns there are. If it's an election where there's a lot of write-in candidates actively pushing that, it would be a higher percentage. But the teams in the local committees, when they count, the presiding officer, the clerks, have other people with them. They go through each vote. If there's any question and there's a specific guide on if it isn't clearly marked in, is the intent clear, is the name, if there's a write-in candidate, clear. And so a lot of those pieces can take time to be official. And so really the election night reporting is done as a service. We know a lot of the public out there, we know the media is very interested in getting these numbers. So we get the unofficial results in from each town, work with them, and then in the time between then and the canvass, work closely with those towns and their presiding officers to support them in making sure that the count is done accurately.
11 o'clock at night or midnight is not a great time to be holding someone to 100% accuracy. So it's always a good idea to make sure that we give time for that double, triple check. And as the director said, to sort through the write-in candidacies. Other questions? All right. Well, we will send out a set of resources, some of the links that we spoke about today, so that you can share those with your viewers and readers. And thank you very much for coming today.